Welcome back to the channel. My name is BusyWorks Beats, and today we're going to be going over 3 tips for creating more authentic sounding guitar melodies. From scratch, of course. Shout out to a bunch of comment winners. Comment below to be featured in the next video. If you want 5 totally free kits, there's a link in the description. Other than that, the only announcement I have is that wristband bundles are now free. They come with 2 wristbands, 2 of my best-selling kits, a sticker, a button, a VST giveaway raffle ticket, and a collaboration raffle ticket. So check out the link in the description below if you're interested. And if you'd like to win a free Nor edition of the When in Doubt t-shirt, just comment below on what you like to do when you're in doubt, and I'll announce the winners next video. Alright, now we can jump into the video. Drop a like if you end up learning something new, or just end up enjoying the video. And subscribe and hit the notification bell to join the strongest producer army on the internet by far. And also subscribe to Chew, just because, you know, heard he's pretty cool, attractive, handsome, big dick. So this tutorial will be in 3 sections. Sound selection, here we'll go over VST options, both free and paid. Chord arpeggiation, this section will discuss techniques for creating authentic rhythm in your MIDI melodies. And lastly, authentication. This section will cover effect strategies that you can use to make your guitar melodies sound even more realistic. Okay. This step is essentially the only one that matters, and this concept goes even beyond this video's content. In music, you can save yourself a bunch of effort by knowing that you have to start with good sounds. Good sound equal good beat equal money, money equal smile. Every time. So normally I use real guitar when I'm making a guitar melody. It's a really good VST that I personally think is worth a $200 price tag. The learning curve is not too bad compared to other paid guitar VSTs, and the humanized option within the VST console allows you to create some pretty unique feelings of authenticity. Here I've dragged the minor harmonic scale from the scales folder of the centerfold drum kit, and I've used this reference MIDI to create a 1-4-5 chord progression. The sound quality of this VST is already pretty good, but notice how much more realistic it begins to sound as I turn on the humanize function and play with the settings a bit. And I can even go one step further with making this sound more authentic by strumming my notes with the Alt-S shortcut and then randomizing them with the Alt-R shortcut. And these are 2 things that you can do to almost any melody with any VST to make it sound more like it's being played by hand as opposed to being clicked in with the mouse. Now, if you don't want to shell out the quarter of a rack it costs to get real guitar, you really don't have to worry. There's tons of free options that actually sound pretty good. My go-to is Ample Guitar M Lite. It's like pretty solid actually. Though it still has a bit of the program sound when it comes to its authenticity, it's to a far less degree than you'd experience in almost any other free guitar VST. This will be what I use for the remainder of the video, but I'll leave you with a bunch of other free options for guitar and bass guitar VSTs. So with Ample Guitar, I'll make a 1-4-5 minor harmonic chord progression similar to our previous one. Then I can shift and nudge a few notes here and there, and use the strum plus randomize technique once more to add some more authenticity. So to me, this is like the sauce when you're making a trap guitar melody, but low-key it can apply to like any genre because it's just a regular musical technique. You can for sure just play the straight chords, there's nothing wrong with that, but your ultimate goal is to have some bounce or groove somewhere in your harmony. Arpeggiation is great for doing this, especially with guitars. So arpeggiation is when you break apart a chord and create a sequence or pattern from the notes of the broken chord. Knowing this, let's see how we can arpeggiate our chords here. I will be trying to induce a triplet flow with the melody, so I'll use the 1/3 step sequence to create my broken chords. Now let's compare the before and after. Notice the drastic difference in rhythm between the 2. This is definitely a fancy way of saying mixer effects, but in this section we're gonna cover ways to make your guitar melody sound even more authentic. This will be done on the back end once you've routed your melody into the mixer. There are tons of ways to do this with paid VSTs and hella videos going over that method. Kyle Stenberger's got a bunch, KBZ's got a bunch, etc, etc, etc. So I want to show you some cost-free techniques that I use to get the most out of my guitar melodies. So right off the bat, I want to show you this one weird thing that I've been doing. It's called an EQ sandwich. To do this, I bring in my first EQ and I place it at the top of the chain. Keep in mind the order of these effects is important as it determines what order of effects the melody will go through. Switching the sequence may give you a drastically different result. With this first EQ, I want to do a hard cut on all frequencies under 200 Hz and over 12,000 Hz. This is a pretty standard technique, and though you'll hear different exact numbers and degrees of cuts depending on what producer you talk to, most will agree that this type of cut is a necessary element for basic mixing. It is done in order to subtract the highest and lowest frequencies from your melody. They are almost never needed and serve only to muddy your overall mix. Always cut that shit out, chief. If you're interested in more in-depth mixing instruction or just a general solution to any mixing struggles you may have, I recommend checking out the Mixing Academy. In the description below, there's a link to a free 3-course series covering the core fundamentals of mixing. Especially great stuff if you're new to the concept. Alright, so now we need our second EQ, the second piece of bread in our sandwich. This time we will add it to the bottom of the chain so that it will be the last thing our input signal encounters before becoming the fully affected output signal that we hear from the mixer. And we'll just leave it alone for now because we don't need it yet. And then now we can add the rest of our effects. First, isotope vinyl, duh, for some wear and tear. Then we can toss on some fruity chorus. Of course, we'll be using the Fat Clean preset. Goat shit, goat shit. Next, some fruity reverb. We can use the large hall setting. Be sure to turn the bass knob all the way down so there's no reverb on your low end frequencies. You don't want that, boss. And then some fruity delay too with the widen preset just for good measure. This will give the melody even more width and space stacked on top of what it got from the reverb. Now here is where the second EQ comes into play. We want to use it to tactfully taper off any really low or really high frequencies that may have been reintroduced to the melody by the plugin effects. This will keep your melody sounding nice, clean, and in control. So here's what we had when we first started. And here's what we ended up with. Thank you so much for watching, and I greatly appreciate you making me feel so welcome. I'm going to return to my Pokeball now because I'm extremely exhausted. But before I do, drop a like if you learned something new, and share this video with a producer who could use some help making guitar melodies. Oh, and subscribe to my channel too. If you don't, your FL Studio will crash the next time you use it, you'll spill coffee on your MIDI keyboard, and the next video on this channel will be a 10-minute melodics ad. I mean, probably not, but seriously, why risk it? Peace.